So hi everyone, my name's Wijaya, and this is the dentistry presentation. So first let me give you an introduction on myself. I'm studying currently the Bachelor of Dental Science course at Charles Sturt University in Orange, and I graduated in 2011 from Knox Grammar School with an ATAR of 98.45, and I've attended Matrix since the start of year 11 for chemistry, physics and maths. So first off, I find that going through the HSC, you really need a vision to accustom yourself to, and for me that was dentistry. So to achieve this vision, I set a number of goals. As you can see in this photo, we listed my academic goals and ATAR pasted on my study desk that I saw each day. These in turn I thought would culminate to provide me to get into dentistry at Charles Sturt University. I found that a goal is not just a goal unless it's written down and printed on your desk. So next door you can actually go and take a photo with your goal and have a Polaroid photo that you can take home and put on your desk. So first let me give you some tested advice that I trialed throughout the HSC year. The first off is that I recommend that you be specific with your goals. Know exactly what you want, whereby, where at, and when you want it. I found that using symbols as well as numbers and printing these out were really helpful and key. So, thus, don't just write dentistry, but write dentistry at Charles Sturt University, or where you want to go, and put these in front of you. Secondly, is to know your goal capabilities, and tune these to your goals. I found that incrementing your goals and breaking them down into more realistic chunks was a lot more beneficial, because rather than going from 20th to 1st, you aim to go 20th to 15th, 15th to 10th, and so on. Thirdly, I highly recommend, if you don't already have one, I'm pretty sure all of you do, is to set a study timetable. However, one that's really practical for yourself, that you can achieve to your lifestyle. For example, spread your work out and subjects out, and set what you think you can do and not what you hope to do. Don't set out trying to do 10 past papers in one night, because it's not going to work, and you're going to burn out. Additionally, set yourself a daily routine of when to wake up, when to sleep, when to have your meal times, and especially when to have your break times. Don't go 3 hours for a 5-minute break, okay? And then instead have 1 hour break for every 3 hours. Have that solid on what you want to do for the day. So, where does Matrix fit in all this? For me, it was just not a sideline part of my HSC year, but a necessity. It basically became, during the year, my second school, and a place to study and focus with my classmates. As DJ would say, I was basically here, and every single holidays and every single weekend, just studying or just being here, just being in that environment that's quiet. Second of all, it taught me valuable knowledge and tips, teaching materials in advance and in depth. This in turn reduced a lot of my exam stress, because when I'd be viewing materials in school, it'd be the second or even the third time that allowed me to hone in on any little bits that I was still unsure about. Matrix also motivated me to do better and work harder, because it's really supportive with others sharing that same common attitude to work towards their goals. I remember one time I was in the study room, as usual, and DJ came down and sat next to me. He told me and said, "Kevin, I know where you want to go, but I think you need an extra 5% bite. You got to really get and bite onto your goals and keep it. So you have to put in that little bit of extra effort all the time." And I got to say, he was right. I don't think if I put that little 5% in to get the little bit more marks every time, that I'd be here into my course that I want. So, Matrix also enabled me to make really good friends, students and tutors, and even some of the teachers that I still talk to now, and that were also focused and motivated on their goals. Some of these are still my close friends now, and I meet up with them often. So let's move on now to challenges. These are definitely going to come out through your HSC year, and I find that at some stage there'll always be one major problem, whether it's your family, with your friends, your girlfriend, whatever, okay? And these at times can loom to really derail your focus, and for some people it did, for some people it didn't. So you have to really focus and get over these challenges. I found that I came up with 3 of the major ones that, tangle up every single HSC student. The first one is that, I don't want to generalize, but most of you aren't that 100% student that can always pull that off and were born with an ATAR of 99.95. I know I wasn't, okay? So I found that to still give you this edge was to really utilize all the resources that were around you, and if that's going to Matrix and making sure you do all the homework, going to all the workshops, or going to the study room on the weekends. I found that just doing that extra little bit also puts you over the mark. So always be proactive, okay? Don't waste any time. Second of all was maintaining that consistent personal motivation and drive throughout the year to give dentistry, to give that extra 5% that DJ said I needed. My solution was to really know what I wanted, and that was dentistry. Pasted in front of me every time I studied. Additionally, I found that being in the company of others that also had that same goal orientation helped me know that I wasn't the only one going through this, and that we all need to work together towards our goals. Thirdly, and probably the greatest fear of any Year 12 student would be to give up your social life, because people are having their 18th parties, exercising their 18th privileges, as well as becoming older and wanting to be more independent, versus what your mom and dad want you to do, and that's to become basically a nerd for the whole year. Okay, so I found the best way to put things in perspective was to realize that after the HSC, you are free. You do have a very long break, and university life is not that you're trying to get 100% in everything. Okay, trust me, I'm now in uni, and it's not like that. Okay, so the second one is to also realize that 12 years of your schooling, okay, has culminated to this 1 year. Nothing before has counted, and every single mark and every single assignment count now. So you really have to really focus on this and know that this is the final year where everything goes in there. So I found that one of the hardest things to do for me was also just to say no, and also say no to your friends and be like, sorry, I can't meet up, I'm doing some work. So now let's focus a little bit more on dentistry, okay? You're probably wondering, when did I know that I wanted to get in there? For me, it was actually pretty early on, and that was in the middle of year 10. So that's pretty early. Most people had no direction with where they were going at that stage. But now you're wondering, why did I know it that early? I personally found that it was important to have a goal to set your future towards. I didn't want to be unsure of my life, going to a course that I was only half interested in, not only wasting money, but especially time. So I remember in year 10, I looked into my careers handbook that they gave me and opening it up, there were so many career options. I did not know what to choose. So I looked through it, and I really thought, what type of career am I looking at? So then I figured out that I wanted one that definitely helped people, that made a difference. I wanted one that was dynamic, not stuck in an office block all day. That was definitely not me. And one that was sociable. So I thought I'd give dentistry a shot. I set up some work experience with my general dentist, and then he sold me to it. So I find that you should be trying to do everything to get into your course. And for me, after that time when you knew you wanted to do it, I went for it. And that was by studying more, doing more work experience, or practicing to get into UMAT, and even drafting my application. So now, you're probably wondering, what's it like? I've got in there, and is it everything that I thought it was? So to me, it's a very interesting course with a lot of different subjects, not just focusing on the teeth and the gums, but actually taking a more holistic approach, going to psychology, anatomy, and also going to the evolutionary and cultural sides of dentistry. Even though it's only been, I can say, one term for me, and it's gone really fast, you make a lot of friends there, because Charles Sturt is a boarding university, and you meet everyone there. So they share their experiences of what to expect. They share their resources with you, and they get you really excited to put on your scrubs and start drilling. So now, you're probably wondering, what can I do at the moment to get in? Okay, it's probably the most important part for you guys right now, if you really want to get into dentistry. Typically, there are 3 stages. The first is a competitive ATAR, okay? That can sometimes be 90 plus, 95 plus, even 99 plus, okay? But it's okay, just focus on your studies, okay? Second of all is an outstanding application consisting of compiling references from your teachers, from your principal, from where you've worked at before, from people that you know really well and that will give you a good reference, as well as a handwritten response with 2 long answer questions that you really have to think about and draft them. Make sure that you do hand them up to your English teacher. You say, oh, does this sound right? Am I writing this the right way? And after that is putting down work experience placements, okay? And these long answer questions can actually be really broad. They can be, what do you think of dentistry? Or they can even be, what do you think about the rural crisis on healthcare at the moment? Okay? So, personally, I tried as much as I could, okay, that year, especially with trying to juggle your HSC and trying to get in. I did a total of 6 work experience placements, that I tried to spread out throughout the year. So you have to plan these early on. My first was with my general dentist, as I said before, to get an idea of dentistry. Then I went to an orthodontist, my orthodontist, to broaden my view. Then going on holidays to Singapore, I tried as best I could to get some more work experience done, and I went up there with an orthodontist and dentist. Coincidentally, he was a professor at the University of Singapore, and then he allowed me to get into a small overviewing course, and thus that resulted in a certificate that was really good for my application. After that, coming back to Australia, I set up more work experience with my younger brother's pediatric dentist, and he brought me to hospitals and to view oral maxillofacial surgeries and the whole lot. So that was really good as well to write in your application under work experience. And then lastly, because my university is a rural one, I thought I'd get some rural experience done. So I went out in the country and tried to set up some work experience there. And coincidentally, this was with actually the president of the Australian Dental Association. So writing his name down on my application really boosted that a lot, I'd say. So finally, the third and final last stage of this was that you're interviewed in front of a panel of 3 people, usually 3 people, for about half an hour. And about 150 to 100 are shortlisted for this interview out of the total of about 1,000 applicants, and about 40 are then chosen. But even though it seems like these numbers are really against you, like I thought they were for me, and it's really hard, as long as you're committed to getting in, you make the right preparation, and come across as a reasonably friendly person, there's no reason why you can't get in. So, to reach your goal, I'll give you this last piece of advice. Always try and set a goal, and try as best as possible to be prepared for what it is to come. Whether it's studying at Matrix the materials before you do it in school, doing work experience, prepping for the UMAT, or even the dental interview. The worst feeling is to look back and regret on what you've done, or not done, okay? So, are there any questions? I'll be outside later if you want to ask me anything.